Hello, 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 love wrestling. It's Thursday night. It's 8 p.m. And you know what that means. It's another new episode of Between Two Beards.
Can we start off with the biggest news of the week? The Graps lost! If you've got the budget, I've got the time.
There he is.
Hey, boss!
There's the boss.
Hey!
The man with the finest beard on this screen.
Canadian boys, shut the hell up. Let me talk.
You see, the Rads are resourceful. When I got beef with somebody, I can find a way to talk to them.
Enlisted between two beards.
Getting down.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Thursday night. And you know what that means. I don't do it like he does. I don't.
Not quite.
I'm not quite JPJ. I got to push the buttons today. I actually was scrambling full shoot in the intro. I was like, where's our intro video? Where's our intro video? I can't have this 30-second countdown go without playing the intro video. I'll never hear the end of it. JPJ will never go on vacation ever again. But if you're seeing, yeah, go ahead.
The intro gets me pumped up. I love that intro.
That's what I'm saying. I need that or else the show is not the same. But if you're seeing me over here and you're not seeing me over there, that can mean only one thing. JPJ, big time star, is quote unquote at a wedding. We think he's on vacation. I saw the picture of him on the beach. This is Between Two Beards. That is Tanner Lee of the Kicking Out podcast. You've been on here before. You've seen his beautiful face a few times on this program. Tanner, how are you, friend?
Great, Pluggo. Thanks for having me on again. When I got the text this morning, couldn't say yes quick enough. But I'm a little ashamed of myself. I shaved a little bit this morning, so bad timing. Bad timing on my part.
Get out of here. We're kicking him out. It's between one beard. That's okay. Good people. If you're good people, we will let the beard thing slide. Do we prefer beards on this program? Do we prefer when we have co-hosts that they beard up? Yes. But if you're good people, we are okay with you not having a beard. We're not here to shame you.
No beard shame tonight. All right.
No beard shaming tonight. No shaming of anyone tonight, really, except for dweebs on the internet.
Oh my goodness, man.
I usually try to, and we got to say hi to our boy Scott. I'm not doing a great job. Scott's in the house. Say good evening. Thunder Rosa is not a bully. Thunder Rosa is a fantastic person who went out of her way to cut that promo for us free of charge at Warrior Wrestling in South Bend when I saw her. So she can do whatever she wants, Scott.
Yeah, she's one of the good ones. Absolutely.
She could punch my mama in the face and I'd be like, what'd you do to Thunder Rosa, mama? What were you doing to Thunder Rosa that made her do that to you?
I love it.
This show is already off the rails. We're 4 minutes in. Nobody tell JPJ what's going on because he might lose it. I even did like little green bubbles today.
Yeah. Looks nice.
Instead of the normal purple because he's not here. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. Switch it up, make it a little bright. Yeah.
I might make this. I might change the whole show. We might do a different show.
Just go down some rabbit holes. That's what we do.
One time he was on vacation and I was like, who the guest was, I was like, we can go on. Yeah. Have you been on all the shows in Love Wrestling? And I went down all of our graphics and almost blew the card for an upcoming LPW event.
Oh my God.
I was like, almost pulled the trigger on that one. Would have been fired right there. So when I'm here and I'm running the show, who knows what's going to happen?
Hey, it's better than WCW 2000. So
no, it's not. Nothing's better than WCW 2000. Tanner, you watch them out.
You know, the sad thing is, I've been on a WCW 2000 kick lately on Peacock. So
hell yeah, how you loving my guy Kiwi? I'm sorry. Ernest the Cat.
Oh, hey, he was good towards the end there.
There's definitely a type when you watch the WCW era of 2000. There's definitely a body type that they prefer.
It was just,
it's like cut paste. Everyone in the men's division looked the same.
There's just too much going on in that show. Too much going on.
I did a WCW Sin review one time with Grainmaker Pod. And I was like, I started to get confused because I was like, that's the same guy, different trunks, same guy.
It's crazy, but that's a special time for wrestling fans to go back and watch it.
Well, I am down to go down that rabbit hole again. I was a WCW kid.
Yeah, I was more so too. I like them both, but I was more WCW.
Hells yeah.
Absolutely.
You got more wrestling, got more time in. It was a beautiful thing. But where was I? Oh yeah. All right. This is how I'm gonna try to do this. Everybody in content creation, I think, goes through it sometimes, or has like down weeks, or has like trouble finding their place or figuring it out. And I've just seemed to have noticed lately, like there's a lot more negative vibes in the space towards not only the wrestlers, which has always been a thing, but the people creating the content in these spaces. And then today I had a really hectic day at work. I had a lot going on, so I didn't see it till I got home. But then I saw the news about Sky Blue, friend of the Kicking Out podcast, by the way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolute wonderful person. I've met her a couple times. She is fantastic.
Sweetheart.
Some fan was harassing her at the ROH tapings. And then it spiraled into this discourse today of like, it was her fault. And I am here to say, and I will stand on business, as our friend Heel Scoob says, it is not her fault. Hey, men, do better.
Yeah.
I would throw some expletives in there, but we still have a couple minutes until I can make this a dirty podcast. And then I just couple that with like some of the, friends of the show and people that I follow just getting like trashed by these neckbeards on the internet. And I know that we try really hard to stay in the positive lane. I know you guys do over at Kick Out Pod. That's why we love your show. We love having you. You're good people. We don't stand for that here. And I think I speak for everyone at Love Wrestling. And if I'm speaking out of turn, they can tell me, but we do not put up with that. Spencer famously says, if you act any sort of way towards anybody, you will immediately get booted from our shows, let alone our chat rooms. We will kick you the second you act out. It's just weird to me that we're in this space. I know I'm getting a little preachy here. We got Scott saying Aubrey did a great job. Yeah, getting the fan. Yeah, Aubrey did a great job. It sounds like AEW, ROH did a great job of getting the person out of there as soon. But it still should have never got to that point. That gentleman should be better, should do better. It's not Sky Blue's responsibility to dress a certain way that you see fit. It's not any woman's responsibility to do anything that you see fit. If you don't like something like don't watch it.
Yeah.
It's not. And then I'm a father and I don't subscribe to that. Well, what about the kids? It's my job to tell my kids about things on TV or things that we see. It's not AEW's job or Sky Blue's job to parent my child.
Correct.
Like, it's that simple. Like, it's so silly to me that is a thing. If you're sitting in an internet chat room right now, like Twitter is, it's a big internet chat room, and you're standing on business defending the guy, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for you.
No, and I don't like to get in internet battles with people, but when I saw some of those responses trying to defend the guy today, it took everything I had in me not to get in some internet battles.
Right. It's tough.
Because usually my stance on internet battles, I'm usually not going to get the last word in. So I just try to save my energy. But man, when I see stuff like that, that's so negative, and I just don't understand how you can defend this guy's actions from everything I've read today. I mean, he was saying more vulgar things than a lot of talent have ever heard. there's no place in it, no matter if it's a guy or a woman you're doing that to, but especially a woman. And supposedly the report said his kid was with him too, or a kid, might not have been his kid. That makes it even worse.
Jesus.
I mean,
I didn't see that part. Yeah, that's definitely.
He said it was right in front of a kid too, and I guess people around him were telling him to shut up, and that made him get louder. And he was trying to fight security when they were taking him out. He just that guy needs to be banned from every venue going forward.
Yeah, EW needs to act quick on that. But and the problem that again, champion women in this space, and that's the thing. Like I've started past week, some friends in the space, having tough times, having to defend themselves.
Yes.
Over the stupidest stuff.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to talk to you because I actually had this whole thing kind of diatribed out. It was definitely like I figured it was going to start with like, not everybody knows every wrestler's history.
Right.
Are wrestling fans the reason that wrestling is not growing? Like it's growing, right? It's becoming more, but like the second somebody walks up to the gates of the IWC and says, I want in, there's 9,000 people telling them, oh, you don't know Tonga Loa's history?
Yeah.
Like go fuck yourself. You don't know Tonga Loa's history. We're after the attendant.
There we go. There we go.
And it just bums me the fuck out.
Yep.
It makes it hard.
Tribalism, man. I just don't get it. And it's why a lot of pro wrestling fans have a bad rap to the non-professional wrestling fans out there in the world, in public, because they see the negative side of the fans usually. And a lot of us aren't that way, but it just takes a special few to ruin it for everybody. And, the tribalism, at the Kicking Out podcast, we mostly cover AEW. That's our favorite promotion. That's what we talk about the most, but we will dabble into other things at the time because overall we are pro wrestling fans. We get a lot of negativity on social media just because we cover AEW. We get AEW's trash comments, and I usually try to respond positively, like, hey, to each their own. We like to preach, watch your wrestling. If you don't like AEW, don't watch it. If you like something else, watch it. Hey, everybody's got their own opinion, but it's just the bullying of each other, unnecessarily comments. I don't get it because this is a wonderful world. It's a pro wrestling community can be a wonderful place. Like I've met great people like yourself, for instance, through just talking wrestling. But it just takes a special few to ruin it for everybody, and it's just too bad.
And I talked about it a couple weeks back. Like it's running out the good people in the community because they're just like. I see it on my socials too. You say one positive thing about somebody and you get 47 people telling you how much that sucked and how could you like what Mercedes Moné did yesterday?
Right.
I liked it. Yep. Wrestling is subjective, and it's so hard to like watch people who I respect and who I admire have to like stand at the gates of hell going like, I just made a wrestling take, guys. This is wrestling. And it's like, do you guys even like professional wrestling? Do you enjoy what we, because that's the thing. Like how do you grow the business? Oh, we got Spencer Love in the house, making sure I don't burn the place down because JPJ's not here to right the ship. But we're being good so far, Spenny. You're more than welcome to hop in whenever you want.
I'm trying to keep them under wraps here.
You're more than. I know there's a lot of LPW news in the house down the pipeline here. So if you want to pop in at any point and promote it, you are allowed to. And then we got Dustin. We love Dustin saying, with so many social media and video platforms, there's no better time for people to get into content creation. But when stuff like this happens, it only deters people from getting into it. 100%. And that's what I'm talking about. Social media is one of the best things, and at the same time, one of the worst.
Yes.
100%. And that's what I mean. Like, it takes an absolute lot. And I can just talk from personal experience. I know we were supposed to have some fun tonight, Tanner. We will.
We'll get there.
We got a lot going on tonight. I know from personal experience that it took me years to get to this point where I was like, I want to be on camera, because for one, I didn't think I was good enough. So I always stayed kind of behind the scenes doing my thing. And then I started to grow in this space, and I've been super fortunate to have a great fan base. Like, we have a killer community here. Like, we rarely have any issues. When I go to shows, I'm very fortunate that shows that I go to, there's not a ton of knuckleheads like there's been in the past. But yeah, it takes a lot for somebody to put that out there and then to just have 19 people without a picture profile going, you're the worst person in the world. At some point it gets to you. And I just feel like the sky blue thing, like you said, it's a select few that are ruining it for the rest of us. There's so many good people doing so many cool things that when you say, hey, I'm a fan of wrestling, they're like, oh, that fake stuff with all those weirdos that live in their mind.
That darn F word.
Yeah. That's right. Spencer's in the middle of a 14-hour drive to Vancouver. Yeah. He's doing big things this weekend. Like I said,
my goodness,
I might have to book Spencer before he gets too big.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think he's on the right track.
But no, he was at Dynamite last night. I heard that looked like a really fun time. So we're going to talk about Dynamite in a minute. I just want to say at the end of the day, like, it's tough, like this space. And again, you can be in this space, you can love what you do, and it can still be a bummer sometimes.
Absolutely. In my shoot job for the company I work for, I run the social medias. So I definitely see a lot of the negative, but social media can be a positive thing if you use it correctly. But unfortunately, a lot of people in the world like to type things they would not say to somebody's face.
Right. And that's the other thing I've noticed. Like, I will say this. When I first discovered Twitter, I'm old enough to know when Twitter first started. And I was like, oh, this is an interesting place where you can say things and like, so don't get me wrong. Like, I've never gone to some of the extremes, but I've trolled a little bit
I have
when I was younger. And I've got as I've grown up, I've realized like, that's kind of silly.
Yeah.
Like, but some of the things that people say nowadays, I'm like, do you realize, like, how, like, first of all, one, how did you think of something so crazy? And two, you put it out there for everyone to see.
Well, in another instance around the pro wrestling community was, and I think I'm pretty sure he's a friend of the show, so I'll give him a shout out of your show. So I'll give him a shout out. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.
Yeah, he's all right. He's an all right guy.
One of the best in the business, in my opinion. And he unfortunately lost his grandmother recently. And some of the messages he shared on social media that he was getting DM'd by people were just
insane.
The scum of the scum. I can't imagine saying that to anybody. I just, oh my gosh.
That's what that's where I'm at with it. Like, how do you get so upset at a person who's doing a job when they're and you use their grandmother as like, yep, I'm gonna get him here. Like,
that's just
so sickening.
The low of the low.
Like, what are you doing?
I mean, we're giving opinions about pro wrestling, and Sean's breaking news about pro wrestling and doing a great job reporting, and you're taking a dig at his grandmother, who was the closest person in his life, passing away. That's just a new all-time low. It's just so wrong.
An interesting, I know it goes on a lot, and it's not just the last couple weeks. Maybe it's just been the last few weeks that I've had in this content creation space myself, where I'm just like, is this really like, because I've always wanted to, and that my goal when I started was always like, I want to run a page and do content that my daughter and my wife would not question. Right. Like, I don't want it to be Thirst Trap Post. I don't want it to be that page, which we see those pages all the time. And I was like, I want to be able for them to go, this is what you do. And I want you, and I don't want them to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Right. Because that's just slimy girls. That's not the kind of person I am anyway. So I wouldn't have done it regardless. But at the same time, it's like, what are y'all doing out there? Like, treat women in this space. That's the thing. We this is not a boys club. This is not wrestling is only for boys. This is for everyone.
Yes.
And there's so many incredibly talented people and women in this space, especially, that every time you say something shitty, every time you slide into a DM and bash them, every time you tell them, oh, you don't know the Wikipedia history of Tongaloa, you're running them off and you're making it harder and harder for people to come into this space and be a wrestling fan and want to learn and want to grow. It's okay to say, hey, oh, you didn't know about Tongaloa's New Japan stuff? Hey, check this out.
Absolutely.
Not, how could you, he's not a new wrestler. To people that only watch WWE, he is.
Yeah.
That brand new guy. As far as they're concerned, he's never existed until Saturday. And then it's just sad, man. It's just like a bummer to me that we get to this point where we're killing the vibe and we're making it hard. And on top of it, the thing that happened at ROH, all that does is put an even further barricade and barrier between you and the wrestler themselves, because why would they want to put themselves in that situation? That's why they're charging what they charge for meet and greets. That's why they don't respond to DMs. That's why a lot of, you know what I mean? There's a lot of reasons why there's more and more and more hurdles to get to meet your favorite wrestlers and get an opportunity for, and this is for kids on top of it. These meet and greet prices, you know, they're blanketed. It's not, you know, and it's just silly, man.
It is. I mean, this should be, wrestling's as hot right now as it's been since the Attitude Era, and it should be a time to build each other up in the community, grow, educate, not belittle and downgrade people, bully people, say vulgar things. It's
the hottest time in this business. Like, there's so much good wrestling out there, you said, so much. It's at the click of a button. You can watch anything you want at any time. All you have to do is search it, and it's there. And we're saying, oh, because you weren't there in 1998, you don't get to be a fan. What is wrong with the internet wrestling community? Don't you want more people to enjoy your product? Don't you want that? And AEW fans are really bad about it.
Oh, they are.
The tribalistic fans are really bad. Oh, you don't know about Matt and Nick Jackson's PWG stuff? You don't understand.
You know, that's okay. And, you know, it's okay. I'm a big AEW fan. The company just started in 2019. I mean, it's a fresh company. People are still learning about it all the time. And
but you didn't watch John Moxley and CZW?
Exactly. You know, and the more you bully fans, people aren't going to watch. And you gripe how, you know, the programs maybe lost, or the promotions maybe lost some momentum the last few years. Well, the more you bully other fans, that's going to happen. And you got to build each other up, guys. Come on.
I've been watching wrestling my entire life. I've been in the content side of it for 6+ years now. And you should see my Quizplex score. Okay, I know absolutely nothing about professional wrestling in a trivia setting. Shout out to Zach. So if that says anything, but yeah, I'm in this weird spot where, like, it's so tiring. I just want
it is.
I just want to build people up. I just want to go back to, like, these people rule. Go follow them. If you don't like them, that's fine.
Yep.
But let's be nice about it.
You don't have to say anything.
Yeah, I mean, my content's not for everyone. I know that, but I would hope that people aren't like, "What an absolute piece of shit! Glad your grandma died."
Yeah. I mean,
like, come on.
It's you know, I was raised with the meaning. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. And I feel like that's got thrown out the window in 2024.
Like, we can be critical of things, but we can be critical in a positive, like, at least 100%. A constructive way. It's just wrestling, man. As wrestling fans, we got to be better. We got it. If we want this space to continue to be the positive vibe it is, and help us get in touch with all of our favorite wrestlers, we just have to be better. I mean, and men overall, we need to just be fucking better. Like. 100%. It's so sad. Like, a woman gets trashed if she dresses a certain way. She gets trashed if she doesn't dress a certain way. Yeah. Is it just me? My wife says this all the time. She always says, I think men just hate women.
I hear that.
And that's what it is. Yep. It's like, come on, guys. Like, Sky Blue didn't deserve that. None of the women's wrestlers deserve that. And I bet you if we went on Twitter right now and asked 100 women's wrestlers, they have a story. Or two of some weirdo, some creep.
Yep.
And I think as men, we need to do a better job of stepping up to the plate and calling those people out, and not just turning a blind eye to it. So if that means getting into a little Twitter tiff here or there, or just saying, hey, my DMs are open if you need to just vent or tell me about some weird, I'll step in. We'll step in. Because that's what I want people. Not every space is going to be happy all the time, but I think the stuff that we're dealing with in the IWC right now is just, it's stuff that doesn't need to be there. It's 2024.
It's preventable.
Preventable stuff. Block button is free. Let's rid the IWC of as much trash as we possibly can. It's always going to be there, but I would rather the trash just be because they prefer a certain wrestler over another one.
Don't like somebody's gimmick. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, all right, we can have that argument, but I don't need to be sitting there listening to you defend some guy being very vulgar to a wrestler while she's trying to perform, and you saying that was her fault.
No place.
You're a piece of trash.
Yep, you're a piece of crap.
End of story.
Yep.
Soapbox over. Rant over. Let's move on to some fun stuff.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's try to anyway. But no, but if again, and I'll bow tie it here. We have a really good community here. We don't put up with that in any way, shape, or form, and everybody knows that. And that ban button is really quick and easy. I'd rather talk to 5 really dope people than 50 assholes. So.
Yep.
Okay.
I see you feeling better already. I see.
I had to get that off my chest, man. It's just it's
I'm
been like I love this space and I love this community, but even I've thought, like, is it worth, like, I see some of the comments that happen on my Facebook page and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, really? Like, come on.
Well,
like,
I think you do a great job with your page. You just keep grinding, man.
I'm trying, but it's like, is it worth all these idiots? But I am going to stick around because I love professional wrestling and I don't want them to win. So I will be here and keep doing what you're doing. If you're out there and you happen to stumble across this, just know that we've got your back. Tanner and I, everyone at Love Wrestling. I assume everyone at the
Everybody, yep.
Mm-hmm. We've got your back and we're there for you. Keep doing your thing. You're killing it. Speaking of killing it, did you watch Backlash this weekend?
Yes, I did. And
I was hoping you did. I didn't ask you, but I was hoping that you did.
Well, I caught the last bit of Backlash, but I saw the highlights of the rest.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you want to get my opinion on that crowd.
That was where you know me too well. I have to ask because I will say this: the show overall, nothing super over the top.
Pretty predictable. Pretty
predictable. I'm still mad about my Tiffy time pick because I got flamed from Scoob and JPJ.
It'll happen. It'll happen eventually.
I think the highlight of the night that took the show from a good show to a great show was the crowd.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I can't think of a louder crowd I've ever heard.
No.
I mean, the hard cam was bouncing.
Yep, Scott, 10 out of 10. I absolutely agree with you. That shot of AJ Styles, best shot I've seen in years.
I mean, the chant they're doing to AJ, singing Cody's theme song, Kingdom by Downstate. Shout out to Downstate. They live in Fort Wayne like I do, so shout out.
That's right. Zach Call, right?
Call. Yes, sir. Zach Call.
Real quick, my first ever independent wrestling show I ever went to. I didn't know independent wrestling existed until like 6 years ago. It was a buddy of mine. They said, come watch this. And I said, what is this? And I didn't know anything about it. They were going to have me do some stuff, but it didn't really work out. So not only like as I dressed kind of nice, I thought I was going to be on camera, and like Zach Call wrestled in the main event. Yep. And I was like, this dude is dope.
Yeah.
And then to come to find out he's
lead singer in Downstate. His brother's in Downstate, 2 other great guys. And I'm still working on an interview there. I've been working on that for a while, so hopefully I can get that set up because those guys are killing it.
That would be dope.
Killing it. But to hear that France crowd singing the song after it ended, just unbelievable. The U.S. crowds have their work to do. They got to step up their game a little bit.
Scott said singing Randy Orton's theme song on both nights. Yes, so that's where I was going to go. So the crowd absolutely killed it. They don't get wrestling like we get wrestling. Is it just because we are spoiled, or is it because that we just aren't as lively as that crowd? Now, I know overseas in Europe, soccer crowds are like that for every soccer game. But again, soccer's I don't know how many soccer games you play in the EPL, but we'll say 20, 30, 40 maybe. I don't know. We'll just say that.
Sounds good.
I don't watch a ton of.
I don't follow very closely. So
I'd rather play soccer than watch soccer.
Yeah,
but
I'm right there with you.
But is that what it is? Maybe we're just too spoiled over here?
I think it's a mix of both. I mean, France is a country that doesn't get a lot of shows, and that's their first ever PLE they've ever had. So I think they were taking advantage of the opportunity, and boy, oh boy, they killed it.
Dude,
they killed it.
What a pro on the yawn right there! Like powered through them
Well,
professionally.
it was a ginger ale burp coming up. So
I'm drinking ginger ale too.
Hey,
Get out of here! What the is that? Is that Schwapeepees?
Canada Dry.
This is Soda Stream.
All right.
What the hell, dude?
I'm a big ginger ale guy. So
JPJ, I think I just found my new co-host. Just kidding. We might have to just bring
I'm
Tanner
working on the beard. I'm working on the beard. But yeah, that France.
Did we just become best friends?
Yep.
Favorite non-pornographic magazine to masturbate to. Go. Better Homes and Gardens. John Stamos.
What a movie. What
yeah.
What
So this crowd, man.
It was a great crowd. And, you know, when they announced the 2024 PLE schedule for the WWE, I'm like, man, they're not doing a lot of shows in the U.S. I understand Nick Khan and everybody and Paul and everybody's wanting to make a WWE more global, and foreign fans deserve their shot. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, man, I don't know how I feel about that, but these foreign crowds are showing up, showing out. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested to see how the crowd's going to be at Crown Jewel is always or not Crown Jewel, excuse me, King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, formerly Crown Jewel. Those crowds are always interesting, but the
Clash at the
Castle, yeah,
a lot going on.
Berlin crowd, the Money in the Bank crowd in Canada, they're all going to be hot crowds. It's going to be a good time.
Huggy Bear, seriously, welcome to the chat. Say the UK crowds love to see singing. I love the crowds that I have had the blessing to film. I'm thankful that I use noise canceling headsets. Yeah, that's awesome. So you got to film that crowd. That's really cool. Yeah, the crowd really, like, I saw some discourse that was like it was too much. It was over the top. The show really wasn't that great. The crowd really made it great. And I argue that, yeah,
that's part of every wrestling show.
Every wrestling show, the crowd will make or break a match. I don't know how many times we've seen where it's like, oh, that crowd was absolutely dead for that.
Yep.
This crowd was on point all night. They never let up. I think it really added. They didn't take over the show, which some crowds have a tendency to do. This one, everything like felt organic. It felt natural. It fit really well. I think I don't know if we'll ever see a crowd like that.
I mean,
is that a shot at Tanner Culp between half beards? I mean, between him and I, we've got a full beard. I could give him some of mine. Culp Sports Corners in the house, my guy. Love you, brother. I saw him today at work. He came and visited me at my shoot shop.
Very nice.
Go follow Culp Sports Corner on Facebook. He's hitting you with all his sports news.
I believe I do on Facebook. If not, I'm going to make sure I do so.
As you should.
Yep, absolutely.
He does the damn thing over there. Yeah, dude. I thought the show overall, like you said, nothing predictable, nothing like out of the ordinary. But I thought we started off hot with the Kevin Owens Bloodline match. I had predicted Bloodline needed to run away with this to kind of establish this as a formidable group, as Solo in the leader role. And of course they went no DQ. They went street fight right out of the gate. So I was like, well, something's happening. And my thought, and I think maybe your thought or anybody's thought was this Fatu?
Jacob Fatu.
Is this Jacob Fatu's time? Because, oh crap, no DQ. That means anything can happen. What's going on here? So it's not Jacob Fatu. It's Tongaloa.
It's another member.
Tama's brother. Just shows up out of nowhere and just helps get the win for the Bloodline. Very interesting. I didn't expect it. That was maybe the biggest surprise. I don't know if any dirt sheets had it or anything. I don't know. I
didn't see anything Saturday morning unless I missed it. So
good on them to pull that off. I know that there was rumors that. And then we got Huggy Bears say big shock for sure. Right. Cause I think everybody like Fatu was the move. It didn't happen. I thought the match was great. I actually thought that tag team match ruled. I'm really digging this new Bloodline angle because there's just so much unknown to it. There's so much like nuance to it where it's like, can Solo get it done as the tribal chief? The crowd, we went from wanting Roman out of here to the crowd chanting, we want Roman. We want him back. which is impressive.
Yeah.
And Paul Heyman is absolutely killing it.
Yeah. Oh, he's the GOAT. GOAT on the mic.
He's the way he's afraid of these two. Tama looks the part. And I'm going to call myself out. I don't know a ton about the Gorillas of Destiny. I don't watch a crap ton of New Japan. I pay attention from afar because there's only so much wrestling in the week. So I'm interested to see how Tama and Tonga, I'm going to mess that up probably.
Oh, it's tough.
I'm interested to see how they play here. What do you think about it being Tonga and not Jacob here?
Yeah, I think Fatu is definitely coming. I just don't know when they're going to bring him in. And I read a report yesterday that said they're a little worried backstage that if they bring him in, he might overshadow Solo.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was going to ask you, that was going to be my follow-up. Has that ever happened before? I've never heard. There was Fatu's definitely coming in, and he fits. He fits the Solo, the Tama, the savagery of the group. Like Jacob Fatu, for those that if you watch my show on Saturdays with Blair for Exposure, we speak incredibly highly of Jacob Fatu to the point where we were disappointed that he left to go to the WWE and missed out on the Punjabi prison match at the clusterfuck. But that's neither here nor there. But
Punjabi prison. Sorry, that gives me flashbacks of my first pay-per-view I ever went to. Great.
You went to that?
Yeah.
You got to see that live?
Yeah.
Shut the shit down. Let's just talk about that for the next hour. What?
Yeah.
You were there for the Punjabi prison match?
In 06 at what was then Casico Fieldhouse, now Gamebridge Fieldhouse. It was supposed to be Taker versus Khali. But Khali, that was what I call elevated enzymes pay-per-view, where the whole crowd or the whole card got switched up a day or two before. Bobby Lashley out, Mark Henry tears his ACL at SmackDown that week, out of the match against Batista, and then Great Khali, elevated enzymes. So they ran an angle to get the Big Show in the match, so Big Show against Taker. Cool seeing the structure live. Very hard match to watch because it was hard to see through the structure.
Yeah, no, it was hard to. I mean, unless because you watch on TV, they got the cameras inside. But you were there for
I was there,
dude. You're not like my favorite person.
I was there. We talk about it quite a bit on the Kick Out podcast.
I got
guys like to give me crap.
Why? Kick them to the curb.
I know. Paul and Shep think it's a terrible gimmick. So
if we want to talk about crowds, we got to talk. Paul wants to talk about. He's got some work to do at home. I don't like to tell people out of here, but if we ain't respecting our EPs, what are we doing here?
He's still not. He's Logan on the show the other night commenting. Yeah.
You better not put me on the show with him. I'll tear him up. Yeah, not as bad as the real cage match. Absolutely, Huggy Bear. In the chat, drop your worst gimmicks.
Yeah,
that red cage looked dope. I was so excited for the red Hell in the Cell until we saw it, and I was just like, that was a mistake.
Yeah,
but it looks cool. But dude, because so the clusterfuck, they were gonna do a Punjabi prison. It was very shoddy. it was nothing like the 2006 match.
I just remember looking up at the ceiling before. I mean, because the match was, I don't know if it was right before the main event or the match before that, but you were just looking up all night. It's like, wow, that thing is cool looking, and then came down. It's like, oh, it's hard to see.
Yeah, it was bad. That is awesome.
And the ending of the match when Undertaker goes through it to win, it was really weird. It was really weird.
It was just a weird vibe. It was meant for one thing, and then they had to do something different. But
they ran it back and did it again. They did it again in the future.
I know. I digress. It's still that's what I love. Silly stuff in wrestling. That's like, God, it's so bad. It's wrestling. I like explaining that stuff to like Mrs. Pluggo. Like we'll be sitting and I'll just be watching something, and she's like, "What is that?" And I'm just like, It makes sense. Don't worry.
Yep.
The best example I have of it is for Exposure, we decided to do review the GCW 4th of July show. And it was their backyard wrestling show.
Very nice. And
I'm sitting there just chipping away, watching things. She comes home from work and she looks at me and she goes, "What the fuck are you watching?" And she doesn't drop the F-bomb as loosely as I do, right? So you know I got her. And I had to be like, it's supposed to look like this. It's backyard wrestling. And she's like, is that a kitty? What's going on? And she's like, how far deep into this are you?
A little deep in the weeds.
I was just like, I'm in it. I am in it. So yeah, the Punjabi prison match would be an interesting one to show her. I should watch stuff with her and get her reaction.
Yeah,
she has the best reactions.
Yeah, that would be a good one because that was something I'll never forget for sure. So, but going back to your question, I'm interested in this angle because I think Fatu's going to come in. I think he's going to be a big deal. I'm also wondering. I don't know what his New Japan contract looks like, but there's another brother still over there, Hikuleo.
Mm-hmm.
Big man that we've seen in the Forbidden Door, AEW, New Japan pay-per-view, and we've seen him on AEW once or twice too.
And not only that, there's another one.
Yeah, there's so many. I can't keep track of them.
Don't sleep on Zilla Fatu is down there in GCW and on the Indies right now, tearing it up.
All right.
Don't tell Blair because he's a Zilla stan. But yeah, no. So with Fatu, if you're worried about him overshadowing, I think that's kind of silly. If that's why you're delaying him, I think it's the situation that we're like how many diehard WWE just watches WWE fans are going to go, oh yeah, Jacob Fatu. I know exactly. Like, I think he'll come in, he'll be another enforcer. The only way you could do it where you don't, if you were worried about it, was put him on the opposite side, but there's no opposite side of this bloodline right now. That's just, she must have heard her ears burning. Mrs. Pluggo's in the house. Hi, honey. We were just talking about your love for GCW backyard wrestling, and how much you really questioned my love for professional wrestling while watching that.
And Pluggo's got a new match he wants to show you.
Yes, we watched the Johnny Knoxville Sami Zayn WrestleMania match the other night. She's like, that's a match. I said, yep. And we watched it, and she was in. So I debut Fatu this week if I'm them, or however they want to do it. I think Fatu would add a new wrinkle to the group. You just got to establish Solo as the dominant force, kind of like Roman did with Solo when Solo joined, right? Like you always thought, oh man, here's this crazy guy that could pop off at any minute. Well, Solo, guess what? Now you've got a crazy guy that pop in it. And for a long time there, I think we as fans were like, we really dig this Solo guy. I still do. I still love Solo, but
he's intimidating.
Yeah, I love his vibe. I think I speak very highly of him, but so you're going to have the same vibe. Will Jacob Fatu outshine him? I think that's a good problem to have if he does. I would rather him outshine the leader of the faction than come in and be an absolute dud.
Yep. I agree.
And then Hikuleo, I did see that there's going to be a bidding war between WWE and AEW for his services when he's available. If I'm being honest here, I was thinking about it. If I'm AEW, I just say, you know what? Because I mean, we saw him, and no disrespect to Hikuleo. I think he's fine. What are they really going to do with him?
Exactly. And I know AEW's starting to structure their roster a little differently. They're not re-signing some guys, or some guys aren't re-signing with them, that their contracts are coming up. Maybe. So you can't go get everybody. And I mean, their roster's already too stacked as it is. There's only so many hours of television, so.
And then Dustin's saying he's happy to see these new additions to the roster. They keep their names and not getting new ones. Yeah,
it's the Triple H era,
which I think is a good thing. I mean, it's in some cases in the past it's worked out really well where they change the name and it works really well. Sure. But I think with the Triple H era, and I think we're seeing it more and more, is like, you want to keep these people. You want to not have them go to AEW or Impact or where else. Give them a little more freedom. Let them keep their name. Let them have some more creative control. Let them do third-party stuff. Like it all kind of makes sense, right? Where it's like, and I use, like Chad Gable. Well, he doesn't have to worry about being called Shorty G.
Oh, goodness.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to worry. I mean, it might happen, but in storyline purposes. But yeah, I think it's all for the better.
Right.
And then, like, as a Backlash, it was a great show, great opportunity. We got new tag team champions, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Now, I got to ask you, Tanner, who beats them? Don't give me this that they're going to split when they implode. Who beats them?
Oh, they're definitely going to split when they upload. But
don't give me the easy answer. That's the easy way
I'm
out.
trying to think of I can't think of a team right
now. Put two women together right now. I don't care how you do it. Who beats this tag team?
Well, it's got to have to be two.
On the WWE roster right now, you can put any two together you want.
All right. So I'm going to throw a curveball. A returning Charlotte Flair.
Well, of course. Charlotte. The Charlotte effect. She can beat him by herself.
Yeah, that's true. That's just another way to throw her in a big picture without throwing her right in the main event. Man. How about Charlotte and I don't know how you put these two together, but Liv Morgan. Oh. I don't know how you get there. I have no idea. That's why I don't have the pencil, but
interesting. Liv Morgan's busy right now stealing Dominic Mysterio away from Rhea Ripley, which I think is a mistake.
Yep.
Talk about the luckiest guy in the world.
Yeah. That's a good problem to have.
That's a great problem to have. But Tiffany and Charlotte would be interesting. Yeah, that would be a good shout too.
How do you think WWE's done so far with Jade, and what did you think of how AEW did with her? Like, because I know that's a topic that we just kind of covered the other night. Like, so I see a lot of negativity. Like AEW didn't do anything with Jade, which
that's just
I see.
That's people that don't watch the show, Tanner. That's people that don't watch AEW.
Oh, no.
They did things with her. They pushed her that she was the longest reigning TBS champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, she only lost one match.
I think she still is. She only lost once. Her debut out the gate at AEW was a little suspect, but again, she's not a big mic person, so that was a mistake on their part to put her on the mic like that in that big Cody Shaq thing.
Yeah.
And especially the way that they debuted her, and they're like, she's coming, like, and then nobody knew who she was.
Yeah.
It's like,
out of the crowd, that was the Daily's Place era pandemic. She out of the crowd, but if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have got the open night mic bitch line from Brandy Rhodes.
Yeah, which then Cody said later on. It was open mic night, bitch.
Yep. Oh, I love that.
Such a classic.
But
yeah, I liked her. I've always enjoyed Jade Cargill. I've always thought she's got the look. She's green. I know she's green.
Sure.
The argument I always had in AEW was, well, especially with the women's division as a whole, was if you don't put these women in these spots to succeed by putting them on TV and giving them matches and working to their strengths, you're not going to get anywhere. I think the problem with Jade is in AEW is the fan base there is a work rate fan base.
Right.
Jade's not a 5-star by certain metrics. I won't say everybody's metrics. She's not a 5-star 20-30 minute Will Ospreay, right? So everybody's like, she doesn't do anything. Her matches are always squash matches, but that's kind of how they designed it. Now, did they do her wrong by just keeping her in the TBS title picture? Maybe.
Yeah. I thought she was ready to make the jump.
I thought she could have made the jump. I don't know why we never got Britt Baker.
I know that was the money match. That was the money match.
That never happened. That should have happened. So they dropped the ball on that a little bit. Sure. I don't think her AEW run was an atrocious thing that people make out. Her WWE stuff. Now, I at one point was thinking, like, did they sign her just to get her off of AEW and just to sit? Now, I know they've done it in the past and they were working with her and gimmicks wise, but the problem I had was they signed her, they showed her off at all the shows, then sat her. Yeah. Then she did that Royal Rumble spot, which was phenomenal. It was a great use of her. And then they just cooled her back down.
Yep. And then,
which we saw reports that maybe she wasn't quite picking up the WWE style, picking up the pace. And then now you're seeing it with the way that she's booked. She's 3 or 4 matches in, and everybody's like, well, everybody else is doing the heavy lifting. And I'm like, well, you can't have it. You got to either have her on or not. And why not have Bianca do a lot of the workload and get her up to speed? Yeah. I went to the house show in Fort Wayne. She looked good in that. I thought she's getting better every time we see her. You're only going to get better working with the caliber of women in the division. I don't have any problem with it yet. I know a lot of other people do, but I ain't worried about them. Not being a regular AEW viewer, I didn't know a lot aside from her winning streak. I feel like she's been presented to WWE both in ring and out with media. Yeah, that's the thing too. I think WWE. Honestly, I just think WWE, and I'll say it, is a better at the media side of it, better at pushing
100%.
their stars, better at the interview processes and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
Like AEW has a little work to do on that front. Like you don't see a ton of AEW interviews out there. He doesn't really know how to push a star to like outside of just in-ring work yet.
Right.
Like that's how I feel. Cause I can tell you but that's WWE with 40 plus years of doing this.
Right.
They've got it down to almost a science.
Right. Right. And she, even when she was in AEW, I always thought she had the WWE look.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of females they've liked to sign in the past. And she's got the charisma, like you said, that the presentation. And I even in AEW, I thought she was getting better every time she was out there. It's just, for somebody to come in that's never wrestled before, it takes a little while. And I think Bianca's a perfect person to put her in there with. And I think eventually when we get that feud, it's going to be very fun.
Oh, yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. That's the end game. WrestleMania 41, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill.
So you think we're a year down the road, you don't think it could be SummerSlam?
That quick? Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. I feel like they implode at SummerSlam, or that they're already off the titles and mad at each other by SummerSlam.
I could see either direction, but I was thinking that's one of your big SummerSlam matches on the women's side.
Could be. I'm cool with it either way. Like I don't know how if you can let this thing run out for a while and really tell a good story with it. And here's the problem I'm having though, is if you watched SmackDown last week, Belair was mad at Bayley the whole time.
Right.
Are we going to just loop the tag titles into a Bayley Belair feud like they always do? I think that would be kind of a disservice. I mean, but again, you could do a scenario where Jade tries to help Belair, cost her by accident, something. I think, and JPJ, I'll give him credit. He's the one that put this into my head, and it hasn't left, is that Belair is going to be the one that turns.
Yeah, I heard him say that because it's hard for me to picture Bianca as the she's heel, I guess, because we've seen Jade be a heel before, even though it's a different company. Yeah. But I liked it when he threw that out there. I kind of let that marinate in my mind a little bit longer. I'm like, that's enticing.
Like, you don't even go here. NXT Belair would be some fun, but I don't know. I don't know what you do with that. I think it's now a tough spot because you've got all these these champions that look absolutely unbeatable. Poor Naomi, man.
I know.
They were just like, you go lose your matches. This is the tag.
Yep, those two.
But what are you going to do? Speaking of what are you going to do, before we go on, I knew I forgot something. Wait. Oh, I don't even have it on here, so never mind. Go to Love Wrestling CA on all social medias. We're doing a pub crawl for Money in the Bank. Get your tickets. They're going all around Money in the Bank, Toronto, on a party bus, hanging out. They're supposed to be. I forgot to upload it. I think he sent it to me last week. Whoops. Sorry, Zach.
I don't have the controls.
So. As Spencer's driving his 14 out, he is throwing his phone at his dash, going, "God damn it, Pluggo. Promote the shit." And I'm just like, sorry, boss. Sorry.
I've seen the promotion for it out there on the socials. It looks like a good time.
It does look like a good time. I wish I could go. Man, one of these days, I'm going to make it up to Canada, and it's going to be like the best time ever. I can just feel it, but it won't be anytime soon because it's expensive. Life is expensive.
It is. Life is expensive. That's a good way to put it.
But anyway, we're going to talk some more stuff. We got AEW, did some things, King of the Ring stuff, but we'll tie that bow, as they say, on Backlash. Overall, thought it was a good card. AJ Styles and Cody was a great match for a first-time match. I had a good time with that. I had a good time with the whole card. Jey Uso's entrance.
Oh my gosh,
dude! I think I posted or I tweeted like not putting the title on him strictly based on that entrance alone and the crowd reaction, and then just figuring it out later is impressive. Because I would have just been like, give it to Jay.
Yeah, he's got a connection with the crowd right now. These cell phones kind of remind me of Bray Wyatt's fireflies, but yet they're moving up and down. And then not only that, but you were talking about, how the WWE's hitting with the mainstream. They're playing that theme at the Cleveland Cavaliers playoff game.
Oh yeah, it's a banger, dude. My son loves it.
Oh,
I'm not kidding. I turned on Monday Night Raw. Perfect segue. I turned on Monday Night Raw a little late in the game because we got back from baseball. And I said, go get changed for bed. Turn it on. Jey Uso. He runs into the room. He's like,
oh yeah.
And he's like, Dad. He's like, Dad, it's Jey Uso. And I'm like, I told you to go get dressed. What are you doing? And he's like, but Dad. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. My bad. It's a banger, man. It's a banger.
It is.
And the reason that Jey Uso was on Monday Night Raw, Tanner, wrestling after taking another loss in a major championship match, was because Drew McIntyre's hurt and he's out of the King of the Ring.
Yep.
And CM Punk got locked into WWE headquarters this week. He was late to Raw. He tried to hold
this. There's worse places you could be locked in at.
I guess.
I
don't know what's going on with that. Both these guys are hurt and they have this intense storyline going on. Neither one of them can touch each other.
They're making it work.
I saw that. I was like, what is he doing? What was he doing at headquarters anyway?
He said WWE posted on Instagram today. And I don't know why he was there. I don't know if he was just working out or what. I don't know what he was doing, but he was in the restroom. And then he got locked in there and then he finally got out somehow. When he got out, his car was gone, or the ride that was Uber. I don't know what he was doing because he was supposed to take a car ride to the airport, then fly home, and everybody else was gone. So he was literally locked in there. So he decided to sleep in there and everything.
There ain't like a janitor on duty. There isn't like he can't call up Trips and be like, "Hey, bud, can you?"
Yeah, you think he could have made a phone call or two. So
like, "Hey, Triple H, like appreciate you bringing me back. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but remember that. Hey, you owe me one for signing with you guys. Like, could you get me out of here? I gotta get home."
It could be kayfabing us a little bit, but.
This is Larry. Larry needs me.
Yeah, no kidding.
April is wondering where I'm at. She doesn't believe that I'm locked into WWE headquarters right now. She thinks I'm out at the club.
I'm going to find the WrestleMania 30 original plans.
Right. Yeah. Like that was wild. So that was interesting. So we got Jay, King of the Ring overall. King and Queen of the Ring overall? How do you feel about it as a tournament, as a gimmick, as a standalone pay-per-view, whatever you want to look at it?
I've always loved the King of the Ring. I loved it back in the Attitude Era. Enjoyed it when they brought it back. I mean, it can make people. I mean, remember when William Regal won it? Of course, Stone Cold, Austin 316 with King of the Ring against Jake Roberts. King Booker T's run as King Booker.
You can't say it like that.
King Booker. No, I was Great American Bash. That night he beat Rey Mysterio for the title. That was also part of that event.
Oh yeah, but you couldn't get past the Punjabi.
Nope. I was out. I was out of it. But no, I like it, and I love the Queen of the Ring because the women, the female roster is deep and very talented, and they deserve to have their own too. So I'm all for it. It is odd to me that this is a foreign PLE. This one, I think, kind of should be a U.S. based PLE, but they got great fans over there too. So
I missed it when it was like one night, burned through it. Yeah, it's interesting that they're doing it over in Saudi. I don't know if that was like Saudi asking for it or saying like we want it.
Probably.
Let's make it happen. The matches were fun. I had a good time with the matches on Monday night. Bobby Lashley just found out right before I got on here. He's out on SmackDown tomorrow, so we'll see who replaces him. Snake Bitten.
They announced who was replacing him.
Who? I didn't see it.
It's one of the two Street Profits.
Montez?
Nope, the other one.
Dawkins?
Yeah.
Did they really? I thought they were going to announce it tomorrow like they did on Monday night, but hey.
At least that's what I read. Maybe the internet's lying. I don't know.
Yeah, the internet would never do that. Dustin says he thinks the finals will come down to Gunther and Orton. I agree.
I would love that.
I think, like I've said on all the shows I've been on and talking about the King of the Ring, is as long as they make it mean something.
Yes.
And Triple H has earned enough goodwill for me to think that he will put something to this. Like, it was cool, like when Queen Zelina won.
Right.
But then all they did was give her the name.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, she hasn't done anything since. So we definitely need some stakes on it. I'm interested. You know, Ilya looked good. I think we get Ilya and Gunther on that side of it would be awesome. I know that everybody says Gunther, but I'm a guy that if you want to make somebody, I know you got maybe Ilya in that final, dude. Like, that guy's so good, and he's beaten Gunther before. It's not like it would be their history. If you want to go, if you don't remember their NXT UK stuff, that's the time to do it. When you're like, you don't know about this, you need to go find this now.
Yeah, because I was not a big NXT UK watcher, but I heard so much about that match, I had to go watch it. I'm like, wow.
I'll say this: NXT UK was cool. I would try to fit it in, but I definitely the pay-per-views ruled. The PLEs, they weren't even PLEs at the time. The pay-per-views ruled.
Yeah.
So like, and the WWE does such a good job of like catching you up with their 20-minute video packages that you don't even have to watch the weekly shows. So it was nice. But Ilya and Gunther rules. I'm excited that they're both on the main roster, and we get to see that in the main roster. Sheamus, on the other hand, does not want to see Gunther anymore. There's not going to be a fourth match in that saga, as he has said, because we were making fun of they were making fun of him for eating burgers too much, and then his chest ended up looking like hamburger meat. So,
oh my gosh! But he got a few good knee strikes in.
He did.
On Gunther. So, oh my gosh, those guys can lay it in.
Dude, every time I watch those matches, I'm just like, it hurts.
Yeah,
it hurt.
They love it though. That's their style. And I enjoyed. That was actually my favorite match for Monday night. I enjoyed that. Hey, I'm not the one taking the punishment. I'm just watching.
I'm just going down the week that was, and I'm like, NXT was very thirsty. Move on. It was a very thirsty episode of NXT this week. I was just like, all right, Trick Willy Wonka. I just wanted to say that on the podcast. Trick Willy Wonka. I don't know what it means. If anybody in the comments wants to tell me what it means, tell me what it means. But Tanner, my friend, my brother, you're an AEW podcaster. Yep. That's what you do.
That's what I do.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Double or Nothing is shaping up to be pretty good. The card's looking pretty good. Last night they made a lot of waves. What did you think overall the last couple weeks of AEW Dynamite? Because I think they didn't do Collision because of the playoffs and stuff. They did Rampage. I think was that the 3-hour one? They did 3 hours. Last Wednesday.
And this week's 3 hour.
Do you prefer that?
I don't, but I think I know what they're doing. They're testing it out. They're testing on Wednesdays and Saturdays. You got a lot of people, you got the big TV event going on next week with a lot of announcements, new shows and everything. I don't expect AEW to get a new TV deal next week. I think I do think they're going to get a nice one. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to stay on Turner. No matter what happens with NBA, I think they're going to stay on Turner. And I think that'll be announced later this summer. I think they're going to get a nice little deal. But they're
not dying.
No. Those people who think they're dying, you can think all you want. I think Turner's pretty happy with what they're doing. Tony Khan's going to throw money at this until he doesn't want to. As long as he's doing that, they're not going to die. So, and there's still, it's not WWE hot right now, but there's still a large amount of wrestling fans that like AEW. So, they're not dying. Sorry for every AEW hater out there, but where was I going? I think they're going to drop Rampage from a Friday and add it to either Wednesday to make it 3 hours or Saturday to make it 3 hours.
I would prefer that. No. Not because I like 3 hours of wrestling per se, like Raw can be a slog at times.
Yeah.
But if you do what they did last week, and you tell me, all right, Dynamite's from 8 to 10, and you have a little run over into Rampage.
That was cool how they did that last week.
That was super cool. And then if I'm up, I can commit to it. I'm already
Right.
there. I
Right.
like it's Fridays at 10 o'clock. Sometimes you're like, all right, I just watched SmackDown. It's the end of the week. If you got things going on, and then Saturday rolls around and you're busy and you forget to watch it. Then you got Collision. So
yeah, Rampage for the Kicking Out podcast a lot of times is a recorded show to watch later if we get to it. Some weeks we're all three like, didn't watch this. We just read the dirt sheet to see what happened. So
I think that's what the boys on Firmly AW do as well. Because when I've covered it, they're like, "Did you watch Rampage?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "That's fine."
yeah.
And it's not that there's bad wrestling on Rampage.
There's good matches. It's just a tough time, tough night. And I understand why they took the slot when they did, because that was basically the only thing available. And they're like, and from Turner's like, hey, we don't really have a lot of programming. We definitely don't have live programming on Friday nights, so throw this on there.
Yeah. Because I know for me, especially like, so Thursdays is Beards, Fridays I'm doing a lot of running around.
Right.
Then I'm getting prepped for my Saturday pod. I'm trying to keep up on whatever's going on.
Sure.
If that falls too far, if SmackDown or Rampage or whatever falls too far, I might not even end up watching it, because if you get into Monday, it's too late.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I think they're using the NHL and NBA playoff times to experiment with some things right now. So,
and it seems to be working. I'm not a huge ratings guy per se. I don't really. I'll look at them just because I'm curious, but like I don't look too much into it. But it seems like it's really helped the Rampage side of it to move some stuff around. I keep seeing the NBA's leaving Turner, possibly leaving Turner, which I know a lot of naysayers like Meltzer and them said it would be a detriment to AEW, because then they wouldn't have the NBA money. But then I think it works in their favor, because they won't be spending that money on the NBA, so they'll be more willing to go, well, let's just keep it going.
And they got to grab something. I mean, because especially if they're going to have that partnership that there was going to be announced between ESPN, I believe it was Fox and Turner for sports. They don't have the NBA. Are they even going to be part of that package anymore? And this NBA deal, it sounds like it's going to be divided between 2 or 3 different networks, because it's such a big deal, because NBA is such a big deal globally.
Yeah.
And the interesting part is Ernie Johnson of, the Inside the NBA show with Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, and Charles is such a popular show. Ernie already said he's not going if he's not going away from TNT and Turner. He is there. And Charles has pretty much said, well, if Ernie's not going, I don't know if I want to go. So if that's 2 of your 4 talking heads saying that, put some pressure on Turner probably to
pay him.
Pay up
Please pay him. Please. That show, those 4 is like perfect. Perfect television. But the NBA is big. I don't know why there's not more nationally televised NBA games. I don't know why they don't split it up. It makes sense.
Yeah. But
we'll see.
We'll see.
Interesting time for old AEW.
Oh, it is.
But
it is. It is. And the only guy sport would make it's Tony Khan, because that's the only one. Of course, he's not going to say anything negative about his own product. So you got to take his word for it that negotiations and everything are going well.
I would imagine this go around, just because, like, I think if Turner threw even more money at him, they might say, hey, let's keep pushing. They're still if you take out live sports, they're still number 1 or 2 usually cable television wise. So it's not like they're the worst programs. Like they're hitting a mark that most shows aren't. So it is what it is. I'm cool with it. I think the product the last couple weeks, I think last week's show was a little bit, it wasn't
right.
But I think last night was really good. I had a really good time with it. I thought they told some really cool stories, gave us some really cool teases on some things. What'd you think overall?
No, I'm right there with you. I think Tony's done a really good job this year in 2024 of building to his pay-per-views earlier than normal. The last couple of years, we wouldn't know the card till the week of.
Excalibur, the go-home show.
Or the earliest, 2 weeks. But now we're getting a good majority of the card weeks in advance. And I like that, because then they're building the stories, building the intrigue to why you should tune in and get that pay-per-view. And they got a challenge on their hands, because I thought Dynasty was one of their best pay-per-views they've ever done. I thought it was about top 3 pay-per-view. So, but Double or Nothing, and I know I posed this question to you on your Facebook page.
Uh-oh.
I personally kind of view Double or Nothing as AEW's version of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is it was their first event back in 2019 before they even had the TV deal. It was their very first event, and one I'll always look fondly over. And I understand some people say All Out.
I'm that some people. Just say it, Tanner.
Yeah.
On this show, you could say it with your chest. You don't have to be nice.
I've heard that from multiple people. All Out, and now I hear some people saying All In, but All In's their biggest show in Wembley. But this is only the second year they've done it because the first All In wasn't associated with AEW, even though it's what really helped get the ball rolling for what would become AEW. But so I always look back at Double or Nothing because it was their first show. It's always in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
This is the sixth one they've done. It's going to be the 5-year anniversary, which is kind of hard to believe. And I'm glad they're moving it back to the MGM this year instead of T-Mobile Arena because they were having trouble filling that venue, and this one will get filled, I think, pretty easily.
Yeah, I could be argued there. I always, for some reason, for me, just All Out just always felt like a bigger deal, like it was like because All In was the antithesis of AEW. It was the reason it existed, but you're right. I think Double or Nothing is. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be the crotchety old man about it. I hate that it's on Memorial Day weekend because
I know.
Not only is it on a holiday weekend, Tony Khan, and I got to work Monday morning because I'm not balling like that. It's also my son's birthday weekend. Did you know I have a kid that had a birthday on Memorial Day weekend, so we're always doing something. Labor Day weekend, always doing something. And yeah, what's the February pay-per-view? Revolution.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's around. I have one of those too. One of them kids too. Jesus.
Busy man.
I'm like, honey, do we have to celebrate birthdays? I want to watch all that.
Sure, that goes over well.
No. I am the type of guy that if I have to miss it for
100%.
anything, I will miss it and watch it later. That's what I love about wrestling. I can just always circle back. But no, Double or Nothing. I think it's a fantastic show. It's always a good pay-per-view. This one's shaping up to look super good. I know people are down on it, but a lot of people are down on a lot of things, as we talked about at the top of the show. I think that the people that are still saying like this is the absolute dog shit product they're just not watching.
No.
Is there things that they can work on and they can fix? Absolutely. I think there's things that he can tighten up, he can improve. I sit there and I look at it and go, he just got evaluated for $2 billion. AEW's doing fine.
Yeah.
We've got Kenny Omega's return. He's coming back. He's going to wrestle at Double or Nothing. How can you not be excited for Kenny Omega? How could you not sit there last week and think he was going to die and be all sad? And then he's in a hospital bed this week.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's got to get that surgery, then he'll be back.
Were you like worried? Because he's like, I thought I did one shot, I'm dead. And they're just beating the shit out of him.
I was a little worried last night that he was going to say, I'm going to put off the surgery and come back and wrestle at Double or Nothing. But I'm glad.
So he could just get diverticulitis surgery and show up in a couple weeks. That's impressive.
Well, he didn't announce that he's going to be there.
He'll be there.
Yeah.
He'll be there.
One way or the other.
Come on now. Did he announce it? No, but we're getting Anarchy in the arena.
Yeah, you're right.
He announced that.
Yes.
And I don't think he's missing that.
Yeah.
Maybe he is, but I doubt it.
But and I love that they're keeping that going. You know, we had the Stadium Stampede in 2020, then we have Anarchy in Arena in 21, 22, 23, now 24. Yeah. I love those matches. They're so great.
Has it always been a 4-on-4 match or was it 5-on-5?
You know, I feel like it used to be 5-on-5, but
do you think we're gonna add like Kenny?
Have been 4. Last year was 4-on-4. So
who could join the Elite to make it 5? Hangman?
I think Hangman's going to come back against them eventually.
I have this feeling that Kenny's swerving us. He's going to be there. He's going to.
Oh man, it's going to make me nervous if he is.
I know. Maybe he's not. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. But I was sitting there last night going, "All right, did they really beat him up that bad on Wednesday?"
Yeah, I know. Well, I stupidly thought we were going to get the Motor City Machine Guns last night. And then I got thinking after I said, I'm like, that doesn't really make a lot of sense because why would they be Team AEW right when they're joining the company?
Because they just got a fat paycheck, Tanner.
That's true.
Loyalty, son.
That's true.
You just signed me to the biggest contract of my life. I am team 8. I'll be team whatever if you give me the most money.
True.
Jesus, grow up. I'm just kidding.
I know. I need to
grow up, dude. Learn how the business works. But no, we're getting so how they played it is Kenny said, he's picking FTR right off the gate because they came and helped him out.
World's best tag team, he called him.
World's best tag team. So did Eric Bischoff, even though he dragged him through the mud too in the same sentence.
Bischoff. That's one guy I will say the King Out podcast we don't speak so kindly of a lot.
We can talk about it. I was a Bischoff guy. I listened to 83. This is what I'll say.
Yeah.
I listened to 83 weeks, maybe not every week, but
same here.
I definitely tune in when I can, more frequently probably than most. But he said, like, I've always been like this. He has turned it up over the last year.
Yeah,
it's been real fucking bad.
I think there's been more things that went down behind the scenes that we don't know. I'm speculating that because remember he was on AEW a couple times,
and he used to be critical. Like he would be critical of the product when he needed to be. He in his defense, he does give them props when they do something good. But lately it's like 95.5, and it is that 95 is just like he's taking shots.
Yeah. That's where we take shots at him because it's like, okay, Eric, like you could tell AEW's got to really hit out of the ballpark for him to say anything positive right now because it is just.
It's all bad. But that's the thing I've noticed about anti-AEW podcasts is that their fan bases want them to watch it and want it. So they're like, because I know like Cornette, I don't listen to him a ton at all. But if he says something absolutely crazy, I might tune in to hear like exactly what he said so that I can have an opinion on it. Usually I disagree with everything he says, but he didn't watch it for a long time, and all of a sudden he's doing AEW reviews all the time.
Yep. And
then like it's just like, what are you guys doing? Like this, if you hate it so much, don't watch it. Exactly. But we're getting off on this tangent on Bischoff here. But yeah, dude, that dude he did. He's like, I think FTR is one of the best tag teams in the world, one of my favorites, but they're absolute pieces of shit. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, and Dax isn't the guy to throw a shot at because he will come back at you on Twitter pretty hard. So
he was. But yeah, we're getting Eric Bischoff's favorite AEW tag team, FTR. Yep. And they're going to take on the New Elite in Anarchy in the Arena. And Kenny says the other two will reveal themselves later on in the evening. So after the main event, which I thought was absolutely fantastic, we had Brody King and Adam Copeland have a banger, in my opinion. I thought it was really good.
Cope's having a time of his life.
Cope is killing it. Dude. He looks like he's just having fun.
Yeah, he's trying things that he's never tried. He said that in an interview with on Swerve Strickland's podcast a few weeks ago. He said he's testing himself once in a while, about once, twice a month. He'll do a move in a match he's never tried before, just to see if he can do it.
And I don't know. I'm not an insider like certain people, and I'm not a wrestler, but I can tell you just from like. You watch a WWE match, let's just say, we'll use Adam Copeland as an example. You watch that every week. It's about the same match in WWE. The style's the same. It's cookie cutter, and not in a bad way. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Trust me. And then you get to a pay-per-view, and maybe they'll pull out another thing or two just because it's a pay-per-view. But at AEW, it feels like every match he is throwing something different out there. And maybe he's like, you know what? For better or for worse, at least I'm kind of out here doing some things, getting to do some new matches, getting to try some new stuff that maybe the old regime wouldn't let me. Now, Hunter's different. Obviously, we have to talk about old regime, new regime. When he left, there was a different person in charge. Maybe Hunter would be more willing to let them experiment a little bit, but he's like, I'm out here killing it. I think he's doing a great job. I know people are, again, not happy with it overall, but I think he's having some fun. He's still a little WWE cornball to me in the backstage stuff, though. Like it's like I want a little more pun intended edge to you. Yes. I want just a little bit more. Like go ahead and go there, just a little bit. You don't have to be like, golly gosh, Renee.
Yeah. Oh, happy.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah. And that was a little weird last night.
That was
O'Reilly thing for the
super
CNC.
weird.
Yeah.
It was,
They'll kill it on Saturday in Vancouver, but the backstage stuff.
the match is gonna rule, but that promo segment is like, so that's why you wanted some of this?
Yeah.
You wanted a piece of this? Is that why you went out there? Okay, well, come to the Cope Open. And he's like, all right.
In your hometown.
Yeah, in your hometown. It's like, okay. You know, Kyle's gonna lose that, but that's okay.
Yep.
I'm here for Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Copeland on Saturday. That's gonna rule. I'm also here for the Kyle O'Reilly, like, getting losses in big spots and realizing that he needs to go back to Roddy, because without Roddy he's nothing, and I love that, because those two together rule.
And I'm here for Adam Copeland and Malachi Black at Double or Nothing, because that's the direction we're heading.
Yep, and that's where we're going. So we're gonna get them at Double or Nothing. I think that's finally good. And that's another thing. We were talking about one thing and then I've gone on another tangent here. I'm watching Brody's entrance on Wednesday, and I'm just thinking to myself that everybody thinks it's a foregone conclusion that Aleister Black and Buddy Matthews are going to end up back in AEW or WWE because of who their significant other is.
Right.
And maybe Triple H knows what to do with them this time around, but I'm like, this vibe that they've got going right now in AEW, like, I don't want them to water that down and go back to WWE, because they didn't know what to do with them the first time. And I love the vibe, and I love what Brody King's doing, and I love what Julia Hart brings to the mix. I'm happy we're getting Malachi Black doing some single stuff, but man, I'm just like, you've got something here, Tony. Like, if you could just push it the right way, keep it.
Yep.
Don't leave.
Yep. I don't know if it's, House of Black has everything. They have all the intangibles. They got the look, they got the presentation, they got the talent. The creative has just been hit or miss since they've joined as a faction. I don't know if that's just on TK's end or their end, or a little bit of both, just not seeing eye to eye. And I've seen the reports, that Buddy and Malachi kind of want to go back. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're under contract for at least 2 or 3 more years.
No.
So I think it's at least through 26. I think. I've seen that. So they're going to be around for a little bit. So, I think this is the time. If you're Tony, I know Cope's run's been fun, and it's been, I don't know. I might pull the trigger and give it to Malachi.
You're gonna put it on the line, huh? You're the champ over there at your podcast with your picks. I
don't want to show my card.
I think I would lean that way too. And it's nothing against Copeland, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, Christian and Swerve. Maybe Swerve needs some help now. He just got the gorillas of the Mogul Embassy turned on him yesterday. I was like, holy shit, I did not see that coming.
I didn't either, even though I thought Brian Cage kind of gave it away by how he was standing.
Yeah, the Prince Nana on a pole match is going to rule.
There was no Nana last night.
That's what
it doesn't hit the same.
When he walked out, I was like, there's no Nana.
I know.
But the way Swerve walked out last night, I was like, okay, he means up
business.
He means business, so maybe he told Nana to stay in the back, but it was still weird. And then the whole turn happened, and Christian's smiling the whole time. And then they cut to the Bucks, and he's like, thanks for doing business and such. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But maybe Copeland's like, hey, I'll help you out, Swerve, if I get a shot at the AEW championship after you beat Christian. So we'll see.
Yeah. A lot of directions they could go, but Swerve is a star.
He's a star that the haters are already thinking is buried because he got beat up last night at a wrestling show.
They can think that. The dude's money.
Isn't it crazy? He got beat up at a wrestling show, and everybody's like, oh my God, you beat up the champion?
My 3 guys.
Yeah, oh, dude, buried his ass. That was great. Swerve kicked them to the curb once. He won the title. Now he wants their help. I don't know necessarily if he kicked him to the curb, but yeah, he needed some help, called some old friends. The old friends were like, hey, you're the champ now and you didn't need us. Yeah, I mean, I could see why they would do it, and I could see your point. I don't remember him. Maybe he did on TV and I just missed it, but I don't remember being like.
I don't either.
But I get what Scott's saying. I get what you're saying, Scott. I agree. I think I would be like, hey, bro.
Yeah.
Where was I at Dynasty when you won that damn thing?
Yeah.
The hell, man.
We weren't invited to celebrate.
Yeah, you haven't brought us out in weeks. What the hell, man? People almost forgot what we look like. Fun fact: when I take my shirt off, I look exactly like Brian Cage.
That's impressive. Good for you.
I told him that when I was like, "We're twins, man." He looked at me like, "Shut the fuck up." It's like, you and I are twins, dude. Look, same build, man. I have a shirt on right now, and you don't.
You want to have an arm wrestling contest, Brian?
Oh, I wouldn't arm wrestle my twin brother like that. Yep, exactly. Yep, he didn't exactly keep him around when he turned face. Yeah, because that whole mogul embassy thing is kind of a tweener. Cage is always tweening around with his Nikki ASH pants.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we talk about him quite a bit on the podcast. One of my co-hosts, Shep, isn't the biggest Brian Cage fan, so I like to bring him up as much as possible.
There's a lot of people that are not like Brian Cage fans, and I think it has to do with other things that I can't remember. But like, he's good in the ring. Like, I enjoy his
He's
work.
impressive how he can move like he can with his side.
He looks like he can't walk for shit, but he can do some crazy stuff in the ring.
Yeah.
And it's like,
then he throws a wheelhouse kick. It's like, oh, okay.
You're like, hey man, I struggle getting out of bed in the morning.
No kidding.
Hey, dude, calm down over there. So that looks like it hurt.
Yeah.
No, Brian Cage, who better than Cage, right?
Canyon, who better?
Who better? And then so what else we had? We had Tony Storm, Serena Deeb.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening at Double or Nothing. Serena came out, cut a promo. Then she knocked out Tony Storm, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, one punch knocked her out. Yeah, I was remembering that. I was looking at stuff today. I was like, how'd that go down? I should have wrote notes, but
yeah, and I love Tony Schiavone just standing there looking at Tony Storm on the ground.
Yeah, that's what I saw the memes. he's just like, what the fuck? That match will be fun. I think it'll be a good one. Obviously, I don't think Serena Deeb gets it done, even though that would be super cool.
Yep.
Who's next? Who's next for Tony Storm?
And I know people are going to crap on me for saying this because of the rankings, even though that we haven't seen the.
They don't care about the rankings. So why do the internet fans care about the rankings? I
don't either. Yeah, I mean, I always get it. They bring it, but then they make it last for like 2 weeks and they pull it.
I love the idea of the ranking system. I even said on this podcast, I think you were on this podcast, that we would be the three guys that would set the rankings for you. We would do a ranking show.
Sure.
But if you're not going to use them, just pitch them.
So with all that said, I think a returning either Britt Baker or Jamie Hayter would make sense.
Yeah. Hayter's been out for almost a year. Britt Baker, I think, would be a really good shout. I would love to see that. Tony,
she was working out with DDP this week. DDP posted a picture of them doing DDP yoga today, so she might be getting close.
When you start to see pictures of wrestlers who've been out for a while trickling onto your internet feed, that usually says something to me. I would be down with that. I think if you're talking WrestleMania, if this is the show for you, I think that's where you'd bring her back and say, hey, I'm a day one. Yep. I started this women's division. I was the first signee. You've been, spewing your brand of crazy. It's time for me to reclaim my throne. I think that would be a really cool match to have it all in or something like that. Or if Jamie Hayter would be a good shout too, because the story's already there.
Or another story. I think they're going to do it eventually. I just don't know when. I don't know if it's not the right time right now. It's Mariah May.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that time right now. So
yeah, she's busy. She's just busy cosplaying as Tony Storm. She doesn't have time.
And she gets more ring time than any woman on the roster. So Tony Khan thinks a lot about her.
She's very good too. I know that. My concern is she's so good, and she's like doing the Tony Storm thing. Like, I want her to start to become herself. Mariah May, because she's so good, and I think there's something there. So that would be cool. But yeah, I don't think that happens just yet.
I don't either. But I can't think of too many more women that on the roster that I can look like and be like, yep, she can take the title off Tony right now.
And that's a problem.
And they got a great stacked roster. They haven't built the women up enough So
we've been saying that for 5 years. That's my biggest gripe. Is like it's like you've got 5 hours of television now. Let's build a meaningful women's division where you've got storylines throughout. The Mercedes Moné stuff with Willow, I thought last night was really good. I thought that was the best promo Mercedes done since she's been there.
Yes.
Is she still a great promo? Maybe not, but I think she did fine last night. I get so mad about that. That's the one that's my one when I post anything about Mercedes that just nothing that lady does is good. And I'm like, what? Like, how are you not watching the same thing that I'm watching?
It's because who she is, how much money she makes,
I know,
etc. That's the only reason.
I need to stop. I'm just like, okay, you don't think she's a great promo, but that last night felt more like her authentic self, felt more like there was some realness behind it. It didn't feel forced. Willow, I thought, absolutely knocked it out of the park last night with her promo because you started to see that, like, because she's fun, she's loving, she's always got a smile on her face, and there's that edge there, and you're like, which again, she did a street fight like a week ago, so of course she has an edge to her, but just seeing it in her eyes in a promo where it's like, this shit's gonna be real good at Double or Nothing.
Oh yeah, that's good. That could steal the show.
It'd be really good. It heard Mercedes debut. Now, does Mercedes win? Are you gonna stamp she's the TBS champion?
Yeah, I hate Willow having that short of a ring, but I just don't see how you can bring Mercedes in and have her lose her first match. And I'll go on record. I think Chris Statlander turns heel and costs Willow.
It aligns with Mercedes Moné,
or at least she just turns against Willow. I don't know if she aligns with Mercedes, but she costs Willow in some sort.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The only explanation for this is my own actions.
but she's twined in the Trump Red Orange stuff too, so I don't.
Yeah, that definitely. I kicked on AEW in the middle of that fight yesterday, and I was just like, "Stat, don't you have other things to do?"
Yeah, it's kind of weird. She's kind of in two stories in one right now.
Yeah, at least she's doing her thing. I don't like Don Callis with Orange Cassidy.
Oh,
I don't like Don Callis though. So
yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's such a good heel, but
he's so good.
I can't figure out this orange stuff with him. I don't know where they're going with this.
We'll see if it works.
I like Trent as a heel, though. I like Trent as a heel.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Sue, but I like your boy as a heel.
Listen, Sue, the way your boy's been going, I don't know if I want to meet him. So I'm going to keep blowing that budget. Mariah May needs to be the one to take the title off, as Tony Scott says. I don't disagree with you there. I think that would be a good story. And I'm not even saying if you have Britt come back, she's the shoo-in to beat Toni Storm. Yeah. So you could, but Mariah May, it is a little early. I am a big proponent, though, if a wrestler's hot and they're on a good trajectory to pull the trigger sooner than later, because I don't know how much more you can do. Sure. And especially with Maria Shirakawa. Is that Maria? Is it Marina? Something like that. Maria Shirakawa being in the fold, and kind of like you're starting to see her kind of hang out with Mariah May more. Yeah. Maybe that becomes a friction point for Tony. Like, hey, like at some point she's got to pick between the two of them. Could go that route, so then you can get the match. But I would hate to put Mariah in that match and have her lose.
Yeah, maybe you start that crack in the foundation at Forbidden Door, since it sounds like Stardom's going to be heavily involved in that, and then you don't have a pay-per-view in July. Could she be ready for a big-time moment at All In?
And then Scott saying, yeah, Britt Baker or Britt's coming back from Mercedes. That, again, there you go. That could be a really cool way to elevate the TBS title. I don't hate that either. You got Britt coming in saying, what I just said about Tony, you could just say Britt does all of that. This is my place. You're going to come in here, get the locker rooms, get all the shine. I'm the one that built the foundation here. Like, you could definitely do that. And I would be super into that. And then you could do the other stuff. Maybe Maria Shirakawa challenges Toni Storm at Forbidden Door and puts Mariah in a weird spot. You know, because at Forbidden Door, I think storylines kind of don't matter.
Yeah, if you're just 3 matches and just.
Yeah, I think you could do that. Scott, you're coming with the fire today. You rebounded from your comment at the beginning to start dropping knowledge. I appreciate it, Scott. I'm almost over you calling my girl Thunder Rosa a bully.
Almost.
Dude, that was one of the coolest. I went to the meet and greet at the Warrior Wrestling, and I ended up on her podcast because I told her I was a huge fan, and when she signed my stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what to do here, and she's like, I was like deer in the headlights, like it's really awkward. I'd have to find it somewhere, and then I'm sitting in this venue. It's like 10 or 11 rows deep. It's like a bowl, and around the outer edge of the bowl is Thunder Rosa's table and everybody's tables for their merch, and she happened to just walk over there. And she was standing at the table, and I'm watching Osprey Blake Christian, and they're absolutely tearing the house down. You could hear everybody behind, like you could hear Thunder Rosa just loving that match. She relinquished the title there. She didn't wrestle. So like I was like, it's Thunder Rosa. It's like one of my favorite wrestlers. Like, let me just ask. If she says no, so I get up the courage. I go, hey, I do a podcast. It'd be really cool if we could record, like you just saying, like watch or listen between two beards, so we could play it in our intro. And she's like, what is it? Between two beards? And I was like, yeah. I was like, you don't have to. I completely understand if you don't want to do it. Like I just figured I'd ask because you're like one of the best. And she's like, yeah, no, that's fine. We can do it. And I don't know how to do this stuff at this point. Like I'm really kind of, and I like pulled my phone up and she's like, you're not going to turn the flash on. And I'm like, oh yeah, let me look. I don't know how to do that. So when you watch it up close, she goes like this because I kicked the flash on and she's like, oh, watch it. Listen between two beards. She's like, they made me do this. It's like it plays up to the gimmick. She's like, they made me do this, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but no, it was perfect. She's awesome. So she's not a bully.
No, she's fantastic.
But yeah, Scott, you ain't wrong. I do Mercedes, and then we had the Anarchy in the arena that we started to talked about everything else. Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. Sorry, whoops.
Yep, that's all right.
I still do it. Are going to join FTR and take on the new elite Team AEW.
Team AEW
with 3 former WWE guys.
I'm digging.
Nobody in that group is a day one AEW person. Nope. I love the group.
But I would say it's guys who, even though they're not day one AEW guys, they're guys who bleed AEW. If that makes sense, because FTR of course re-signed in their career with AEW. Danielson, I don't think is going anywhere. I mean, he's going to retire full time, but sounds like he still wants to go part time and do some stuff backstage with AEW. Eddie Kingston, AEW saved his career. Cody with the TNT Open Challenge saved his career. And there's a lot of like intertwined things, you got the history with Kingston has history with the Bucks and with Okada. Now we're losing his title to Okada. Of course, Danielson has history with Okada, and Danielson also has history with the Bucks a little bit. And then of course FTR. I mean, nobody really has history with Jack Perry, but Jack's the scapegoat. So
that's right.
It's all right.
I'm surprised Moxley's not in this spot. It's the people that bleed AEW.
Yeah, that's true.
He's always at the front lines when something goes down. He's always rallying the troops.
And he's one guy we haven't really. I mean, we saw him in Indianapolis, and then we saw him defend against Hobbs, but he hasn't had a lot of TV time with AEW lately. So he's off wrestling in Japan a lot. So.
But I also noticed we didn't see Renee last night either.
That's a good call. I just realized that.
Yeah, as I'm sitting here talking about, we didn't see Renee in those backstage segments. I don't remember her name. I feel terrible, but I don't see her very often.
Right.
So maybe they're just taking a little bit of a break.
Could be.
Well, I mean, the dude deserves it. He's an absolute killer. Scott, that is false advertisement. She's on Rampage because people want to watch her, and that's how you get the viewers.
She's a ratings draw.
She's a ratings draw. So yeah, maybe they're just taking a bit of an excursion. He doesn't really have any like real storyline going right now in the in AW. So hey, take a couple break. Well, maybe we'll get you a match, but maybe that's a batch they'll book.
Yeah,
for Double or Nothing. Maybe they give him Double or Nothing off. I wouldn't be. It wouldn't be awesome because we love Moxley, but it'd be nice for him to get a little break before Forbidden Door.
Yeah, because he'll be heavily featured in that.
And maybe he's got New Japan commitments that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Well, what do I know, Tanner?
Yeah, that's a product I used to follow a lot closer than I do now. So
It's tough. It's tough.
It is.
There's so much stuff going on. That's about all the wrestling that I could think of to talk about today. I do have to ask though. So he's not here. I'm really disappointed that JPJ's not here. Did you happen to catch any of the roast of Tom Brady?
I watched the whole thing. Yes, sir.
Okay.
That was fantastic. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And I know, roast, they're going to go to the end with roast. I mean, it's going to get pretty vulgar, dirty at times, but
it got intense.
At the end of the day, everybody, what I enjoyed about it was everybody could be in the room, chop each other up, but do it in good spirits and have fun. I mean, everybody's just having fun, except, if we have any Kardashian lovers out here, I might get some heat, but except Kim Kardashian didn't like what was said about her because they edited that part out. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I did not.
On Netflix. They because if you caught it the first, like when it was live or even the next day or two, you could still see that. But now that part's edited where she got roasted.
Well, I was going to say, I saw a bunch of like TikToks about the Kim Kardashian spot. And then I watched,
and then they edited the boos because she got booed heavily when she got on stage.
That's what I was gonna say. I watched it today, like on Netflix, and she didn't get booed at all.
Oh, she got booed big time. There it was live.
Oh, was it? Well,
yeah.
She did fine. I don't know why people are booing her, but no, I wanted to sit here and talk about the greatest quarterback of all time in the roast of Tom Brady. But JPJ's like, I'm at this thing.
It was good. It was good. That was fun. A lot of fun.
Okay. If they were going to go the roast route for professional wrestlers, I know that they think they've done one with Ric Flair. I've never seen. I think they did it on a Starrcade weekend.
He's in the news again.
Yeah. I just be done with it.
Yeah. Like, he needs some help. He's embarrassing.
On top of that, didn't I just see some report? He said that he had like a heart attack or something
during his final match.
Jesus Christ, Rick.
Yeah.
Call it a day, brother. You've done it aside. If you're just looking at it in the vacuum of professional wrestling and you just take the rest of it out of it, you have nothing left to prove or accomplish or do. You've done it all. And then on top of it, you do a bunch of dumb shit. Just stay home.
I remember I didn't watch that Ric Flair's last match because I was afraid he was going to die in the ring. I literally was. And to come find out, he wasn't that far away. I mean,
JPJ was there.
Was he in St. Louis? Cool.
He was already in the area for something else, and this, like, I guess, got tickets somehow, or it was super cheap. Like, he was just like, "Yeah, we'll go," because the rest of the card was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, dude, like it was not a good match.
No, like I would have felt uncomfortable watching it because it makes me nervous when somebody's got like for the longest time. It made me uncomfortable watching Bryan Danielson matches for a while because I was so nervous with his head injuries. But
I still go. Ugh.
Yeah.
Only too because Mrs. Pluggo would watch the Bellas show.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call it? Total Bellas.
Total Bellas. There you go.
So like, I could just feel Bree going.
Yeah.
Daniel, what the? No,
you got 2 kids.
Yeah, like every time he does a spot, I'm like, I just hear Bree going, "You gotta slow down, Daniel. What about Birdie?"
Yep.
But yeah, Rick, dude, like,
just stop, man.
Just stop, man. Like, nobody wants you around, dude. Not right, because like, there's nothing really of value that he brings to the product at this point. He can't do anything.
His energy drink's awful.
I've never had. Did you have it?
We've all 3 tried it on the Kicking Out podcast.
Oh, jeez.
We all did it. Oh, it's awful. It tastes like cherry cough syrup to me. The cherry flavor did. At least that was the only one I had.
So it's just Robitussin in a can.
Pretty much, and you don't get the effects of Robitussin if you know what I'm saying.
No, I don't know what you're saying. I never once lived a life as a teenager trying to figure out how to get things that I wasn't allowed to have. Never.
But yeah,
Don't do stupid things when you're teenager kids. It's bad for you.
It was not good. I don't advise getting the wooing.
No, I even if I wanted to, I saw the price tag on it. I was just like, that's excessive.
Shep, one of our coaches, he bought the 6-pack, and then was nice enough to give Paul and I a can, so we all 3 tried it. No thanks.
No.
But
Flair,
I wanted to ask you about one more thing, AEW related. We got the learning tree going on right now.
Oh, Jesus. Come on, man. I was trying to avoid that.
With Big Bill.
Come on.
And it looks like your boy's coming back next week. Hook.
But Enzo Amore is coming back to be under the learning tree.
And you can't teach that learning tree. But so your boy Hook, it's going to be interesting with his return next week. See what happens with this.
Bill's going to beat the brakes off of him. Just his storyline. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? That's where because why would you have the muscle?
Yeah, the heater. You got
who's gonna Shibata gonna help Hook? Maybe.
That makes sense.
Maybe we get a little tag match action. God damn.
I just don't like what they're doing with Hook.
I told this. I think I told it on Saturday. So I posted about not wanting any of this Chris Jericho stuff. I woke up to like a barrage of just like DMs that were just like, F you, Chris Jericho's the greatest of all time. And it got really vulgar. Some dude at 6 a.m. like laid into me. And I was like, I just don't like this version of Chris Jericho right now. And I don't like that he's messing with my guy Hook.
Yep.
It's not that I don't think he's talented. He's talented.
Right.
The learning tree, like I said, when we were together in Fort Wayne, I think there's something to it.
Oh, he's leaning into it. He's figuring it out.
He's definitely leaning into it. He's the master at this.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll figure out a way to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Big Bill is fantastic. I think he's one of those guys that like really reinvented himself. And I think like if you give him the right push in the right scenario, you could do big things with him. I think him being with Chris Jericho right now, what else are you going to do with him? Might as well let him be Chris's heavy.
Yeah, because he and Stark's tag team's not there. And I don't know what's going on with Ricky Starks.
He said he's not hurt. He said change the narrative, but it's
really
like
weird.
That's the classic AEW problem. They get these guys, they heat them up, and then they sit them for too long. We're wondering where they're at. Then if they come back, it's tough. It's tough to navigate.
I think Ricky's good as gone when his contract's up. His buddy Cody's got to bring them over to WWE,
to NXT,
probably.
He'd fit the builder. That's one guy that like I like Ricky Starks enough that like I would hate to see him leave AEW because I think he can have a little bit more freedom. But like he's so talented, and I think we all saw it. Mm-hmm. For me, I discovered him when he was in the NWA. When the NWA came back and they were really hot early on, like you could just tell like he was a fish out of water there, where he was such a big star. You could tell when he's in AEW and when he's given the right pushes, like he's just going to grow to the point where like he would need to give the WWE crazy for not giving him a shot. I think you got to take the shot, and he's so young that like as long as he left AEW on good terms, they'll bring him back. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, like you got to take that shot at Ricky's age. If it doesn't work out, then you just reinvent yourself, and you just paid yourself a bunch of money.
Yep. Nope.
I think they would know what to do with him. Yeah, Cody. He spent the entire WrestleMania week basically at Cody Rhodes' side. And I was just like, why are people mad at him the way they were mad at CM Punk?
No, yeah. And he gets caught all the time on camera and by photographers at WWE stuff, supporting his friends.
Caught on camera. He's like,
he's right there by Cody's side walking backstage Royal Rumble 2 years ago.
It's like, hey, no, oops, got me, guys. Oh, no. Don't take a picture and send it out.
Yeah. Might as well do his.
He might as well just pose.
Yeah.
You know, just pose for it, man. Just own it, brother. But yeah, he's probably as good as gone.
Yeah, I think so. But
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yep. But I got another question for you. I posed this to the
All right.
So my two co-hosts on Kicking Out Podcast here, and I'm just curious. I like to ask pro wrestling fans this: who is kind of a 2-part question? Who is one talent either back in the day when you're younger or currently, it can be either or, that you liked, but you figured out that a lot of the IWC didn't like, so you were too afraid to admit it, and vice versa? Who is one guy that you think the IWC tends to like, and you're like, I just don't get it with this guy, or didn't get it either?
Hook's
or.
contract is up late last year.
Yeah.
Good question. I really dug back in the day Buff Bagwell.
Yep.
Like in the NWO when I was a kid, for some reason I just thought he was the shit.
He was cool.
Come to find out, he's not that good.
Oh, right, right.
But I just always enjoyed him. I don't know why. And one that I always don't, Jeff Jarrett.
See, Jeff Jarrett's my one that people don't like, and I always liked.
No, I never understood Jeff Jarrett. I still to this day don't get it. The dude can go. The dude's still getting checks. Don't get me wrong. But then, like, especially that stretch that he had in AEW where he was on TV every week, I was like,
that was a little strange.
What kind of contract? But I've always just not really been a Jeff Jarrett guy.
Like his run to Attitude Era with WWF when he was Intercontinental Champion, he was the heel I liked. I even liked him when he was the chosen one in WCW. I liked the shades back then. I liked the guitar shots. Now the TNA stuff, he was so power hungry in TNA. I got a little tired of it. But
yes, Blair, if you're listening tonight, I'm not a Jeff Jarrett guy. Sorry, pal.
Ain't he great?
Yeah, that's definitely one I just never understood. Right now, currently, if I had to make it more current, Nia Jax, I think is one that I really enjoy that people hate on. And I think she's doing the best work of her career right now. And I think people are simply hating on her for past things.
Which is not fair.
Which is, it's fair, but it's not. Like, I get it. She has a history. She has a track record. But you can improve on that. And I think you got to at least give her a chance, but it's easy to just go, Nia Jax sucks without really paying attention to what she's been doing. She was very pivotal during that Elimination Chamber run, all that live stuff. So, like, that's one for me that I enjoy, but you know, the difference between me and normal people, Tanner, I'm not afraid to tell people what I like and don't like because
we all like different things. I mean,
you know, like I've been told, just shut up and watch it. Don't give an opinion. Well, then I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you for 2 hours.
Yeah. What's good about being a wrestling fan if we can't give our opinions?
Yeah. What am I supposed to just go? Wrestling. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's Nia Jax, I think, is one. And then what was the other way around? Somebody that I just don't understand that people get.
Or somebody like you think everybody likes or did like back in the day, and you just never. Maybe you like their in-ring work, but didn't really like their character, or vice versa. You like the character, but didn't like their in-ring work.
I'm trying to think of somebody a little bit more recent than Jeff Jarrett.
I got one recent that is on the AEW roster, and this guy can go. So I'm not ripping his in-ring or his athleticism by any means, but if this even goes back to his WWE days, I just, something about him I can't get on board is Pac. I don't know why. I just,
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that out of you.
I don't know. I just can't get behind his character. He can go in the ring, but
to be fair, it's because he's a very stop and start kind of wrestler. He's always had injury history.
Yeah, that's true.
So like you get invested in him, and then they have to pull the plug. Then you have to kind of reintroduce him, and it can be tough. I'm trying to think.
They made him such a big deal in AEW right away. I mean, they had him beat Kenny right out the gate. I mean,
yeah, which I think in that moment was the right decision. That's the thing that like that's an interesting, a whole nother like rabbit hole of like. Everybody crapped on AEW, the EVPs at the beginning for not putting titles on themselves, but then crapped on them for putting titles on themselves after they said, why didn't you guys put titles on yourselves for the first year? Why did you take all these losses? But if they would have came out of the gate and just won all the belts, you'd be like, they can't win, man.
Yeah, like if Cody would have put the belt on themselves.
Scott, that's fair. That's fair. That seems to be a very popular one of people that people like that you don't get, and that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I'm really trying to think of one like that I see. Chad Gable's one. If I'm going to bust myself out on this podcast, not that I don't think he's talented. I think he's talented. I think that we pigeonhole him too loosely with like he's the next Kurt Angle.
Yeah, that's not fair. There's not gonna be another Kurt Angle.
And I think that's what it is. Like I watch him, and the Kurt Angle is like an all timer where he's like one of the greatest to ever do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not taking shots at Chad Gable, but when I watch him, I don't see, just because he's kind of got the wrestling back. He has the wrestling background, and they kind of gave him the Alpha Academy vibes and his Jason Jordan tag team. What were they called? It was very like Kurt. It was very like Team Angle type vibes, right?
I'm gonna look it up now. It's bothering me.
Right, but that's a guy that I watch and I like what he does and I get invested in it, but I don't see the Kurt Angle hype that everybody else sees. So I'm like, he's good, but so there you go. I'm gonna probably catch heat for that, but
America Alpha.
There it is.
Yeah.
And that's not his fault. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with comparing him to Kurt. I just think that everybody going, yep, he's Kurt Angle 2.0.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Huge expectations. It's hard to follow.
Yeah, I think they missed on Gable and Gunther at Mania. Possibly. That Sammy stuff was really good, Scott. I really enjoyed the Sammy stuff. I also thought maybe Gunther or Gable would interject himself into that match somehow, but we were able to get the title off of Gunther, which was needed. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to move on to Gunther winning a world championship at some point, and I'm here for that. So
in Germany.
Calling your shots.
Yeah, I'm calling my shots.
It's hard to disagree with the man who holds the belt. I'm surprised you're not flaunting it on this podcast. It's right there.
That bad boy.
Yeah, Shep. Hey, Paul, look at that thing.
Yeah.
Maybe if you guys win one of those, I'll have you on. I should get them on too one of these times. So you guys are a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
On that note, that's a perfect segue. We cut it right to about the 2-hour mark. Tell the wonderful people where you can find you and see that belt.
Yes, you can follow me on all social media at TannerLee92. I tweet about pro wrestling, the Denver Broncos, my Purdue Boilermakers. So if any of that interests you, give me a follow. Even if it doesn't, give me a follow. Even if it doesn't interest you, give me a follow anyways. And you can listen to the Kicking Out podcast and watch us live every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We stream live on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube. So hit that like, hit that follow button, smash that subscribe button, or hit that like button, smash that notification bell. That's what they say. That's what they use to say now. At Kicking Out Pod is our handle on all of those. And you can find us on your favorite podcast platform as well. So please give us a follow and like on there as well. So we cover mainly AEW every week, but we go down rabbit holes from time to time, talk about other promotions as well. So come hang out with us at 8:30 on a Sunday night, and we'll have a good time.
Hell yeah. You reminded me, Zach Eady can't throw a pitch to save his life.
Little outside.
That was almost 50 Cent bad.
When the baseball looks like a golf ball in like
That's
you and
true.
I's hand,
That's
a little hard
true.
to throw. But yeah, it was like, come on,
he showed up to my to Wrigley and was just like,
yeah,
like, boy. Oh boy, Zach.
7'4" on the mound makes him look even taller. Pretty crazy.
But Tanner, I want to say thanks for coming and hanging out. JPJ
Anytime,
appreciates it as well. I know he last minute got some things mixed up and had to be somewhere. So we understand here at this place, and you're an awesome person. You do a great job. So having you come and kick it for a couple hours with me on the Thursday night was awesome and very clutch on top of it as well. Because if I would have had to do this by myself, who knows?
That's a chore.
Who would have happened? I would have pulled it off,
Would've.
but it wouldn't have been any good. We would have probably just deleted this episode and said that doesn't exist.
I'm happy to hop on anytime. So you're great. JPJ's great. Even though we're gonna have to roast him next time I'm on, just because he missed our breakdown of the Tom Brady roast. So we're gonna have to roast him a little bit next time.
Such a good time. Even Gronk knows that's not real money. Still my favorite one of the whole night.
That was a
And
good
that
one.
was a very clean joke, and it was so good.
That was a
Nikki
good one.
Glazer killed it. But
She
on
was
that,
awesome.
she
Yeah.
was awesome. It was a very good time. I highly recommend that you watch it. If you don't like raunchy comedy, don't watch it. But if you do, it's for you.
Yep.
And it's always fun seeing Tom Brady get shit on for a while because, F that guy.
Yes.
That's right, JPJ. That's right. But you know what? We better get out of here before I get booted off the air here. But yeah, you can find me at Pluggo _ on Twitter, at Pluggo on Facebook, X, Instagram, all that fun stuff. I'm right there. You can find this show page at B2 Beers on all social media platforms. Keep it up to date with what we've got going on. We got some really cool and interesting stuff coming up over the next few weeks. So you got to stay tuned to that. And again, follow everything you can over here at Love Wrestling CA. The pub crawl's coming up. LPW 26's card is looking dope. You can find me Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Saturday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, with Blair Pacheco. We're going to do an evening show for 4 Exposure. We're going to talk some independent professional wrestling. And that's where you could find me. And as always, once again, thank you, Tanner. It's time for Sue.
Hey there, Pluggo and JPJ. It's Trent's mom, Sue, and I have a bone to pick with you. So, I understand that you guys are being real idiots and spending your entire monthly budget. You've got to be kidding me. This is not the way to be when you're trying to run a business. Your boss, Spencer, is really pissed off at you. I'm pissed off at you. You have some nerve. Get a grip. You have to control yourself. You can't just go out and spend all the money that you're making, you two beards guys. Oh no, this is coming out so stupid. Anyway, behave yourselves, or I'm going to cut you off from watching AEW. You're no longer going to get to know, be able to meet my son. What? Or me. I'm sorry, this is like, I don't know. Anyway, thanks so much for being fans. Watch yourselves. Knock it off.